On this episode of Acton Up, we visit the Acton station of the Halton Hills Fire Department. Deputy Chief Harry Oliveri was on hand to give us some information about the Halton Hills Fire Department and to show us the station's Heritage Museum.
So this is the Acton Heritage Room. The curators of the Heritage Room is the Acton Firefighters Association in cooperation with the Halton Hills Fire Department. This room was put together at our last renovation, and all the items that are in here have been sourced by Acton Association, and it is open to the public if they wish to see. All they have to do is come to the station. The on-duty crews would be happy to give the public a tour. So this is the Studebaker that the association and the fire department is very proud of. The Acton Association refurbished this vehicle to its original condition. It's a running vehicle. It just highlights and shows what a vehicle in the early days of the fire department here looked like. And down at the back of the Heritage Room, you will see different personal protective gear that might have been worn. Down at the very end, you see a firefighter with early firefighting gear and using a pail as a means of putting and bringing water to a fire. Then the next generation, as we get through the years, you'll see now that we're using self-contained breathing apparatus. You see a mask around the firefighter's neck and a more traditional style head protection. And over behind me is to where we are today, how a firefighter is equipped with full personal protective equipment, gloves, helmet, masks.
We're here with Captain Steve McKnight. He's been serving here in Acton for...
Steve McKnight has been with the Halton Hills Fire Department for almost 4 decades.
38 years?
38 years on the Sunday they just passed.
That's crazy, huh?
The last 16 years full time.
And you've been in Acton the entire time, or most of the time?
The station my whole career.
Wow.
Oh, I spent time at headquarters, spent time at District 2, but I still responded out of this station at night when I was off duty.
So tell me what's changed during your time with Halton Hills Fire Department in those 38 years.
There's a lot changed. Building construction, for one, has changed immensely.
Yeah.
What used to take 29 to 30 minutes to flash over now happens in 3 to 5 minutes.
Wow.
So the time that people have to get out has lessened. The time we have to get in before it flashes over has lessened as well. And the equipment has come a long way over the years too.
So when you say flash over, what would you mean?
Flash over when the room's temperature comes to the ignition point and the whole room turns into a ball of flame.
Wow. So 3 to 5 minutes in
3 to 5
current
minutes.
Construction. It's quite the incentive for people to get their fire plans, their escape plans ready, huh?
It's very important to have working smoke alarms too, because when people perish in fires, it's because the smoke alarms that weren't working. That's their front line of defense.
Yeah.
So they got to have them, they got to be working. And if they're not, you know, read the news lately, most of the house fires there have been lately where people that perished have been from smoke alarms that weren't there or weren't working.
I mean, just as a guess off the top of your head, do you think, is there a majority of people who have their smoke alarms working in our community?
The majority of people do, but even today, when we go out and do our Home Safe Home program, where we knock on doors and offer to go in free of charge and check smoke alarms, check carbon monoxide, you know, look around the furnace to make sure there's clear space, basically to make sure that the people are safe, you'd be surprised how many people still don't have working smoke alarms. It never ceases to amaze me.
well, they probably don't realize how quickly that can happen.
Yeah.
You talked about when you joined the Halton Hills Fire Department, the age of the truck. So it just mentioned before, this is a 2010 pumper. This is the newest one here.
It's the newest pumper rescue we have, yeah.
What sort of trucks were you using back in the day?
The oldest truck was a 57 Ford.
Mm-hmm.
We had a 70 pumper, a 72 pumper, and we had a 78 rescue truck. But that's back in the day. We used to ride in the back of the truck. We don't ride in these nice, comfortable, heated cabs like we have today. So that's a big thing that's changed too. Firefighter safety, firefighter gear itself has changed a lot over the years.
Mm-hmm.
The bunker gear will withstand about 1,000 degrees heat.
In a house fire, like if it's a bad house fire, what sort of heat are you looking at?
You can get a couple thousand degrees in a house fire. If it gets to the point where people aren't going to survive in there, then it's sometimes time for us to pull out and do an exterior fire attack.
Mm-hmm. Just try to.
If there's people in, we try and get in
Yeah.
for as quick as we can, as long as we can till we find the people.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a point in time where you have to pull out because of the structural integrity of the building too.
Right. You've got to keep your men safe.
Yeah, you have to make the
People
decisions.
safe.
And it's, constantly ongoing decisions made on the fire scene.
Mm-hmm.
Keep everybody safe.
Mm-hmm. You're responsible for, you said, 5 men typically?
Yeah, we got a 5-man crew that runs on the truck that's behind us.
Okay. How many, there's a big difference between the volunteer and the full-time firefighters. You're obviously full-time. How many full-time work out of this station?
There's 10 working out of this station on 2 exact opposite shifts.
Okay,
So we run with a 5-man crew.
so that's your 5-man crew.
When I'm off, the other crew's on.
Okay,
And then we have approximately 25 part-time firefighters that run out of the station that complement us as well. So anything that's more than a 1-truck response.
what would require more than a 1-truck response?
So a thing that would require a 1-truck response would be burn complaints,
Okay.
medical calls. So any type of medical call, difficulty breathing,
Mm-hmm.
any type of CO calls.
Mm-hmm.
So any full alarm activation, any car fire, any structure fire, those would require more than a 1-truck response. A rural fire requires 3 tankers alone because they're just transporting water.
Okay. And there's full-time firefighters in Georgetown stations too, I'd
Yeah.
imagine, huh? So when do they get called in for any call, or if it's a bad fire, do they also get called in?
Headquarters has a 24-hour truck.
Okay.
We have a 12-hour truck.
Okay.
So we work 7 to 7 here, and after 7 o'clock at night, it's all based on part-time response.
Right.
But again, most of our full-time guys come to carry a pager after hours and still come back.
Mm-hmm.
So the level of knowledge and training is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's big enough, then the full-time truck comes up as well. And all it is a radio call away.
Okay.
The officer in charge has that ability to radio for more help at any time that he feels that we need more manpower or trucks. And then we would engage another station.
We're here with Deputy Chief Oliveri at the Acton station, Acton Fire Station.
We're at the Acton Fire Station of the Halton Hills Fire Department.
The proper way of saying it. So that's why he's here. He's keeping us on point. So thank you for joining us.
Glad to host you.
So you said you've been with this fire department 12 years. What's your background? You said I think over 30, right? Overall, though, right?
I've been in the fire service 32 years.
Okay.
I'm working on my 12th year here at the Halton Hills Fire Department. I started as a volunteer firefighter, worked up through the ranks to full-time, then eventually steered into prevention and public education. So now I'm the Deputy Chief of Prevention and Public Education.
So probably a lot of administrative stuff there and coordinating maybe with schools. But what's a typical day maybe for you?
Well, my responsibilities include prevention and public
Okay.
education, but also emergency management. So our staff, with respect to prevention, goes out and does inspections in commercial buildings, residential buildings.
Okay.
With respect to public education, our staff gets involved with schools and other organizations, the public, teaching and bringing forward public education messaging to prevent fires. And then there's the emergency management portion that is involved with being prepared for a major disaster.
So we're standing in front of a truck. We were just looking at the date. I think it's a 2010 pumper truck, you said this was one of the projects, I guess, you were involved with when you first joined this force. What have you been most proud of during your time serving with Halton Hills?
Working with Halton Hills is the people. We have very dedicated firefighters, both our full-time and part-time people. There are no limits to how far our staff will go to service the public. Whether it's putting out a fire, whether it's doing a special event, doing inspections, teaching kids. The commitment is unbelievable, and that's what I'm most proud of. It's our people.
Hold up.
We'll be back after these brief messages. Coming soon to a website near you.
So first of all, before you start taping.
Acton's had a bucket brigade since the mid-1800s, but in 1973, the Acton Fire Department amalgamated with other local communities to form the Halton Hills Fire Department. Later on, Steve gave us a tour of the fire station.
He was the original fire chief of Halton Hills.
And who's that?
Mick Holmes was the original fire chief of Halton Hills when they amalgamated in '74, and that's his helmet from the days of being the Acton Fire Department.
Are these other helmets significant here?
You know this helmet's old because of the style of it. Because when I joined, that was my original helmet that looked like that. I still have my original helmet at home in the wall. Like this one. It was that style, then we went to that style, then we went to this style, and we changed probably 4 or 5 times.
What's oh, and these are pagers. I was gonna say, what are you guys using now? I guess you're not using
those
pagers.
Those are pagers and chargers. So we had this one originally,
Yep.
and then they went to the Minotaur, and then they went to the Motorola, and now we're using Swiss phones.
Okay. And so how have they changed over the years? Oh wow.
That's the size of the pager we're using now.
Cool. And that's a phone or that's a pager?
That's a pager. And then this is the back of it.
Okay.
So when you get a message.
Halton Fire District 2, response to an alarm activation at 1 Princess Anne Drive, Georgetown Hospital with Pump 3, Pump 2, Rescue 2. I repeat, Halton Fire District 2, response to an alarm activation at 1 Princess Anne Drive, Georgetown Hospital with Pump 3, Pump 2, Rescue 2, control out 1756.
So was
that's
that
what
actually
we
going
got.
on right now?
No, that was the last page that came over the pager.
2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so over the years, there has been a various amount of ways of how firefighters would be called to the station, going from the ringing of a bell to using telephones to, as technology changed, using the pagers that you see in the cabinet there. And as Steve has shown you, the various pagers to where we are today, not only does a firefighter get the tone that he's required and the message that he's required, he also gets other information on the pager that'll help him when he responds. So you want to get a tour of the station then?
This truck here is a rescue truck. This used to carry all the heavy hydraulics on it until we turned the new pumper into a pumper rescue, and now we carry all the heavy hydraulics on the first truck that goes out the door. So this still carries a lot of equipment on it. It also now has the portable, handheld, battery operated heavy hydraulics on it as well. It's got some water rescue equipment on it. It also has scene lighting, generators, and a multitude of other equipment that's required at a fire scene. Plus it carries 6 guys at a time. Did you want to go and have a look at it?
Yeah. We'll take it.
So the rescue truck carries 2 in the front and 4 in the back. And when you move into the back, you'll be able to see that there's 4 seats set up there so that they can put self-contained breathing apparatus on their backs on the way to the call. So on this truck here, 4 firefighters will sit back here, seat belts on. They can start putting their Scott airbag packs on the way to the scene. And if you look down here, each firefighter has his own personal radio. It's not like the old days where you had to share one radio between 2 guys. Then if one guy fell through the floor and he was the guy with the radio, the other guy couldn't even call for help. So now each guy has his own radio. This is one of the latest pieces of technology as well. So this is a thermal imaging camera.
Yep.
Let's wait till it loads. So,
Okay, that's cool.
you know why he's white?
Because he's hot. Right?
Well, because he's 90, because he's 98.6 and the room temperature is only say 70 or 72 degrees.
Yeah.
So he lights up like a Roman candle. So it's easy finding people in a house that are unconscious because once you pan around to them, they light up. Now, if the heat in the house is elevated, then they're harder to find because they're no longer lit up like a Roman candle. They tend to look black.
So maybe you should get some
Today, Junior.
some tips from Steve on
he's,
what you need to do to.
Riley's a 3rd generation firefighter.
So
His dad's a firefighter here. His grandfather, I served with his grandfather.
Wow.
So he's a 3rd generation firefighter.
Okay, so this is.
I'm Riley,
Riley McGilloway.
and I'm gonna be racing today for all the marbles. Oh, I'm gonna lose again. What are we going? Gloves? Is that just this stuff or what?
Nah, just bunker pants, coat, and helmet.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you a head start. How do I take my shoes off? Do I
Yep.
stick-
Take your shoes off. Your feet go in there.
So one at a time. You said.
Yep. Throw your pants up.
You ready?
Make sure you get your suspenders up over your shoulders. Lay the dome up and then the dome's right there. And this part's in there.
Okay. All right.
Oh, you're getting a helping hand there.
So then you got to zip your coat up. So then this here is your balaclava. That would go on and suck down in here.
Okay. All right.
And here's the helmet.
Maybe a little too.
So if you were going into a fire, you want this.
Almost way off.
So the balaclava, all you're going to see is this much of your face,
Holy
and then
cow.
the face mask goes on. So you would have that on.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
And what happens is the balaclava comes out over top of it. You want to throw your balaclava in place? Just throw your face mask on so you can see.
So how long does it take to, like how long do you expect it to take to get this on? 60 seconds. 60 seconds?
I was going to say from sitting at your desk in the gear and out the door is supposed to be about 80 to 90 seconds. So that's gear on the truck and the truck going out the door in 80 to 90 seconds
Holy cow.
from the pre-alert.
That's unreal.
So we get a pre-alert on the pager. The dispatcher usually says pump 1 you got a call or pump 3 you got a call. We all merge on the truck, put on the gear, get on the truck, and out the door we go.
Holy cow.
He's going to show you what a full-on balaclava with the mask on. Is that the masks are personal devices now? Each guy has his own.
Probably a good thing.
That's Halton's for health and safety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when two guys are going in, they're going in as a team, and they make sure each other has their things done up. There's no exposed skin. Gloves on.
Is there hair requirements too? Like, I assume you wouldn't want to have long. I wasn't
challenged.
making any jokes.
I can show you pictures what I had there.
I'm gonna center my mask out, right? I'm gonna pull my mask tight.
Alright.
I'm gonna check for a seal. I want this mask to be sealed on my face,
Alright.
right?
Alright.
Means that no air is getting in the outside, right?
Okay. Alright.
Over top, no skin exposed.
Wow.
So he does his coat up. And if I was going in with him, I would check to make sure that's all. And then this goes on.
The numbers on top, I can't see mine. They're unique numbers for
Yeah.
all the.
Yeah, each guy has his own number and his name's on the back of the helmet too.
Okay.
So his name, so that we know who's going in.
Alright.
And those two guys are paired up.
Okay.
So when accountability shows up, these three guys are on the truck. But these two guys are paired up. This guy would be the hydrant man. So he can take this tag. He knows who's on that truck. So is it getting warm yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
We haven't even thrown a pack on you yet.
How much is the?
Oh, yeah.
I'll get one of those.
So you can put it on just like it's a coat.
Bend over a little bit.
So what you want to do is pull these on both sides. You can grab that, hike it up. So you want to keep the weight high in your shoulders.
It's probably a little low.
It's just the straps twisted. This parts are taking on the walls. So just hike the weight of the pack up and pull on them straps. You want to keep it up high in your shoulders. So pull them both at the same time.
Okay.
Then you get your waist belt.
How's that?
It's heavy.
Then you pull these straps.
I imagine there's extensive training on how to do this.
Oh no.
And so those are oxygen packs, correct?
Breathing air.
Okay.
Oh, it's
I was gonna
great.
say because oxygen and fire wouldn't mix so well,
So
right?
now this would go right in that master.
Okay.
So he's got the mask on. This fits right in there and then turns a quarter turn.
And then you breathe.
Allows
with
him to
that.
breathe, yeah.
Okay. What can what sort of heat can a person take without, like this you said 1,000 degrees, what if you didn't have this, like an average person or
The
fire?
smoke kill you before the fire ever gets to you. People die from smoke inhalation before the fire gets to them and burns them. Fire burns pretty hot. Water boils at 213, right? 212
Okay.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Your skin will burn at a lot less than that. But don't worry, the smoke will get you before the fire ever comes near you.
Good news.
The smoke goes up, hits the ceiling, and then banks down. That's why the smoke alarms are on the ceiling. So the beep goes off, tells you to get out, you get out, and you're safe. Then we come in dressed like this, put the fire out.
Right. Great. Well, thank you so much. Deputy Oliveri, you had an announcement you wanted to give to the public, but what was that?
So just want to remind the public, this year so far has been particularly devastating to citizens in Ontario. There have been a number of fatalities related to fire. And they are tragedies that could have all been prevented. There are simple things that can be done in every home, in every residence that can protect a family from fire. Make sure you have working smoke alarms on every floor. Make sure you have carbon monoxide detectors if you have fuel-fired appliances in your home. And lastly is have an escape plan. It's not enough to get the early warning to get out of your home. You need to know how to get out of your home before the alarm rings. So practice with your family how to get out, 2 ways out. There's a meeting place outside, and those are just a few simple steps that can protect every family in our community.